meeting of the Committee of Community and Business Development will come to order. The clerk will call the roll.
Right, this is the Committee on Community and Business Development. This is Monday, June 26, 2017. We're at 6 p.m. I am Counselor DeFlorio.
Here.
I Counselor Hamlin.
Here.
I got Counselor Capone.
Here.
And I have Counselor Sami.
Here.
We have 4 members present. We do have a quorum.
With 4 members present, we do have a quorum. If the audience could please join us in saluting the flag.
Right.
The first item on the agenda.
The first item is a petition to install a permanent awning for Marlene's at 128 Buckton Street.
Council Capone.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Is the petitioner present?
The petition is present. If you could please come up. Could you please state your name and address for the record inside in the mic that works?
Yeah.
Oh, they both work. I'm sorry.
Her name is Marlene Lorenko. She's my mother. The address is 128 Buckden Street, Everett.
Could you give us an idea where 128 Buckham Street is?
It's a commercial building, but it's going to be a hair salon. She's going to build in a hair salon.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Council Capone.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Through you to our guests, do you have any kind of a drawing or picture or a design of what you're looking to do as far as an awning?
Yes, she has a permit for the building because she's doing some, because it's not a hair salon, but she's doing a hair salon right now.
Okay. Is it
So-
just like a regular awning with like the hood?
Yes, yes.
Do you have a particular design, color? You do have, oh, I'm sorry.
The issue is that they put the awning up without a permit. Yeah.
Okay, so the awning's already out.
The awning's already up, but they never came to get the permit for it. So they did
It's-
it after they put the awning up. So basically, we want them to understand the rules of our city
Okay.
and what should have been done.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll defer to the chair if you want to do that, so.
Basically, do you understand the reason why you're here?
Yes,
Okay.
but it's because she has a permit for the construction, so she didn't know that she has to get a. It's first time that she was building something here in Everett, so she didn't know that she has to get a permit just for the awning. That was the problem.
So she does have a construction permit for the rest
She
of the
does,
property?
yes.
And so, in other words, she thought that the awning was part of the construction?
Yes,
Okay.
that because it's
Alright.
the first time that she's building something in Everett. So she didn't know.
Any other
That seems like an honest
Counselor Sani?
mistake, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's on the corner of Locust Street, and I know that used to be like an apartment in that prior. So you did some construction work, you put up the awning not knowing. What you should be doing is maybe look into the laws that we have in our community with the trash removal, make sure about parking also, because I know
Yeah, it
that's
was a
a-
mistake. Sorry.
Right, no, we understand that. But the parking is over there is very tight, so just try to make sure, maybe put some signs up to say be courteous to your neighbors, because you have some homes there, so no one blocks the home
Okay.
either. But we welcome you into our community.
Thank you.
Counselor Hanlon?
Yeah, did you put this up, the awning up without a permit? Did you get a permit?
Not for the awning,
You
just
did
for the
not.
construction,
Okay.
like a
But
construction
you
permit.
need a permit for the awning too, right?
Yes.
They did
Yeah,
get
okay.
it now, yeah.
I'm
they
going to
got it
ask you to, I know the awning is up, but to go get a permit anyway.
We did.
They did.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay. So it's all done?
Yes.
Building inspector has inspected it?
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Any other questions?
No,
If
excuse
the-
me.
Just one other question. What color is the awning?
Black.
Looks nice.
Black. Okay. All right, no problem. All right, so if there's no other
Excuse with the
questions,
yeah,
excuse
excuse.
with the customary thanks. And I just want to explain to you that this will also get voted into our regular meeting. Is that correct, at 7 o'clock? So if you could, if you want to go out and do something, then come back at 7,
Okay.
okay? So you could take a seat, and
Okay.
this body it's up to my colleagues what they want to do with this piece, if it's going to go out favorable or not favorable. So.
I move we refer it to the general body favorable action.
Yeah, second.
With a favorable action.
With a favorable action. So we're going to refer it to our council meeting with a favorable action. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, so you
Thank
could
you.
have a seat, or you could come back at 7 o'clock, okay?
Okay,
And we'll
thank
try
you.
not to keep you here that late. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 2 is a resolution by Council Hill that the committee hold a hearing to include IST licensee and property to determine whether sufficient tax exists to revoke the repair shop license at 36 Mystic Street.
Okay.
Council Hanlon.
I've looked over this with the city clerk and others of the council, and it is our feelings that even though there was a permit granted to this place, it was granted without the fact that the property owner did not sign on to the occupancy of that establishment. I think we all know that this item is into courts, which is actually, at this time, I don't think it's any of our business. I know it's here, and we've discussed it, but I don't think we should. I think the thing that we have to look at right now is that, was the license granted by the city council proper? And it was not, because of the fact that the owner of the property did not sign the application. The application does say that the owner has to sign it. The owner did not sign it. Now, whether it was an error on our part, on the owner's part, on the city's, anybody's part, it was an error, and the license should not be established. So if anything was to come up, I would say that the license should be discontinued, allowing the persons to actually go back into the city clerk's office, do the papers properly, to have the property owner, the person that's occupying the premises to sign it, and to have the owner of the building sign it, and bring it back to us so that we could act on it. There is nothing else before us. I mean, whatever is going on in the court is not before us, and it should not be before us. We should not even be discussing it. There's only one thing here. Was it signed? No. No license should have been given out. That's my look at this thing.
Any other questions? Well, I mean, this is, oh, yes, Council Capone.
Thank you. I don't want to infringe on whatever the court's doing, but if we're looking at whether or not a license was validly issued or not, the fact that the parties are in litigation leads me to believe that they're less than amicable right now. So I don't know that I don't know how long the tenant has been operating a business. I don't want to yank something out right from under them if they've been operating for a little while. And I don't know if the owner is willing to sign a permit. So if the parties are hostile, I think the best thing we can do is step out of it completely and let them resolve it in the courtroom.
I agree with you, Council.
But we
because
could,
it's not fair.
if people are here, I'm more than happy to hear from them, and then we
Yeah,
can make that
we could-
determination
right.
then.
It's not fair to the person that holds the license that you pull something just because something wasn't signed. So, but if you want.
If there are any parties here that want to speak on it,
Are
I'm
parties
more than
here,
happy to
that
hear
any
'em.
party here that would like to speak on it?
So, might as well have them up.
And,
yes.
could we,
I'll make a motion to invite the,
now,
parties up.
what party are you from? What-
The tenant,
tenant.
ADH Collision, you're
You're the tenant, okay. Do I have a second to invite him?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye, okay. Please sit and state
Thank you.
your name, sir, and address for the record.
My name is Stephen Gordon. I'm a lawyer in Wellesley, Massachusetts, representing ADH Collision. Mr. Haddad, Adam Haddad, the ADH of ADH, has been running a body shop in the location on Mystic Street since 2014, when he received a lease from Mr. Rocco Vigorito, who had been operating a body shop in the same premises for decades before that. We have a signed lease, and the lease says very specifically, permitted uses, auto body repair and dealer. That's the specific purpose. That's what it's been for decades, and that's what Mr. Haddad is now running there. Everything was fine until 2016, when Wynn Casino offered Mr. Vigorito $9.75 million. We just had a deposition today of Mr. Christopher Gordon, no relation to me, of Wynn Development and Design. They offered Mr. Vigorito $9.75 million for 3 properties on Mystic Street, one of which is the auto body shop that we're talking about here. The problem for Mr. Vigorito in picking up that $10 million check from Wynn is that Mr. Haddad has a lease that runs through 2029. And accordingly, Wynn's offer said that you have to deliver the premises to us free of any tenants. That makes sense. If you buy something, you want to be able to use it as you see fit. And they suggested to Mr. Vigorito that he pay Mr. Haddad's relocation costs. Mr. Vigorito, according to the testimony today of Mr. Christopher Gordon of Wynn, had a better idea, and that is that he would find some defaults in the lease, and he would throw Mr. Haddad out without paying him anything. In fact, the defaults were all spurious. There was one that you didn't have insurance. We provided the certificates. Never a problem, obviously, with payment of rent. That would be a real default under a lease. Mr. Haddad is paying over $10,000 a month to lease these premises and is running an active body shop there, as is permitted by his lease, which is signed by the owner. So we brought an action, Mr. Haddad, ADH Collision, brought an action in Middlesex Superior Court in October of 2016 to declare the lease valid as it's written, and to get the court to rule on these spurious and manufactured defaults designed to terminate the lease so that Mr. Vigorito can pick up his big check from Wynn. He could still pick up a very big check even if he paid Mr. Haddad's relocation costs, but he's not willing to do that. So he's in, I guess, what you would call a blocking position. Now the owner has signed a lease. The owner has signed a lease for a body shop. But if this council rules that the tenant can't have that unless the owner signs the application.
I really believe that we really should, I'm sorry, all due respect, attorney, I don't believe that we should continue this. I really feel that this is something that's in the courts between your client and the owner, and this is, we do city business here.
I
So
understand.
unfortunately, I don't feel that we should continue this. I feel that this should just be no action taken and let them worry about it in court. I mean, the city solicitor's here, I'd be more than glad to ask her opinion, because I just don't see them going on like this.
I'd like to make a motion that the city solicitor.
Madam Chairman, I'm kind of leaning in your direction, but I'd like to hear from everybody and then make the call. But I don't want to waste everyone's time, but.
Well, I don't know if, no, absolutely not.
I'd like to make a motion to
And then
invite
you-
the city solicitor up and have her opinion on this.
Okay, the city solicitor, please, could come up.
Second.
Yeah,
Because this is gonna be, he said, she said, I said, this one said, and,
Well, Madam Chair, oh, I'm sorry, before the city solicitor comes up, I wanted to ask those people something. I didn't want them to.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If you could please come back?
Yeah. I mean, I voted for her to come up, but I didn't mean immediately.
Yeah, that's okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. I'm Adam Haddad. I'm the owner of ADH Collision, Accurate Collision at 36 Mystic Street.
As we have said, and I said in the beginning too, that the court thing is bothering me, and I really don't want to get involved in it. And what you said was okay, but I didn't really, I agree with the chairman. But what I wanted to ask you is just if you could talk only about the operation of the shop without what I say is a valid license to operate, not a lease. I mean, you got leases, whatever. I don't care if he stays there for 10 years, but he needs a license to operate from the city, and that was not given out properly. That's my big concern.
Counselor, I don't think that the city of Everett wants to be in a position of granting property owners the right to terminate a lease because I won't sign the license that you've had for years. I won't sign this year, and therefore you can't operate your business where I have signed a lease saying that you can operate your business.
Well, the lease business would be yours. That's, I don't want to get involved with the lease business. All I'm talking about is the issuance of a permit to operate that auto body dealership. That's all I'm concerned in, nothing else.
I understand, Counselor, but the city council has the right to set the terms for a license. By requiring the owner to sign, you give an owner an annual life and death right over every single tenant in the city of Everett that has a license that requires the owner to sign. Why does the owner need to sign for the license? There's no purpose to be served by that. There is a valid lease for the premises. The owner has signed a lease, a long-term lease, for these premises to be used as an auto body repair shop. It's being used as an auto body repair shop. It has passed every inspection that the city has, and I think that the city council has to consider, do we want to stand, yes, there is a line on the form that says the owner. The owner has signed the lease. That should be sufficient for the permitting for the business that the owner has leased the
Well, let's say
premises for.
that leasing business is between you and the owner, not us, you know. And when you say, why is that there, that's been there forever. And, you know, it's not just this one person, it's been every body shop, every car dealer in the city for 50 years that I know of. That form has been like that the owner had to sign. And this is the first time that I'm aware of that an owner has not signed a form like that. So that's my problem.
That's because, obviously, of the legal dispute that we have, and for no good reason, the owner is refusing to sign, even though there is a valid lease, and according to the courts, so far, there is no default in the lease.
all right.
And I know you appreciate that. I think I would ask the council to consider what is the purpose of the owner signing. There's a very good purpose to make sure that the person applying for the license has the legal right to be there and to have a license at that location.
I understand what you're saying.
And this particular person does very much have the legal right to be there and to operate an auto body shop, as long as the auto body shop is operated in accordance with the laws of the city of Everett, which it does. It's passed every inspection. I think that I would hope that the city council would not want to give a landlord life and death over the existence of a business where they have a dispute and they say, well, we don't have to wait for the court to resolve this. We'll get the city council in Everett to throw them out. I just don't think that that's the kind of business that the city council should be in. Obviously, you'll hear from your lawyer, but that's just my view. I understand that the city has a very important interest in knowing that the person there running the body shop has the permission of the owner to be there running the body shop. In this particular case, the owner very much, until the court rules otherwise, has the right.
Just a side point, we just had that happen to us. A fellow moved to Texas, and he gave a right of the guy that was working for him to own the business. We actually called Texas, and I talked to the fellow myself on the phone. I said, what's your phone number? And I checked the number and everything, and I called him back. And I said, you really want to sign this thing to let this guy operate? That was the gas station on Main Street. And he said, yes, I do. So that was okay. So we do check that. We do watch those things. You know, it's not just not the first time.
I appreciate that, Counselor, and here we do have permission to run an auto body shop in this location, except that the landlord would prefer to break the lease. And
Well, like I say, that's up to you guys.
But it's also, I don't think that the city council of Everett wants to be the weapon to break this lease.
I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much for coming back. I appreciate it.
Could I just speak for a moment, please?
Well, we really would like to get a ruling from the city solicitor. I don't mean to stop you from anything, but.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say that I've came to Everett in 2014 and started my body shop there, which will be my third location in the state of Massachusetts. And this will be my third license granted by the city of Everett. And up until the problems that started happening with the landlord, it's never been an issue. My license was always granted. And I don't know if you're aware or not, but this is a renewal for a license. It's not a new license, it's a renewal. And I'm not sure, but I'm not sure that that has to be signed on the renewal, and I believe the city clerk's office had told us that on a renewal, you didn't need the property owner's signature to grant the license on a renewal. So,
Well, I know you don't recognize me, but when you came in several years ago, Mr. Vigorito introduced us.
he did, he welcomed me
When I
into the
was on
city,
council,
that's,
He loved you. He said you were the best thing since Mars applesauce, you know, and so something has gone on. you
We know what it is.
we know what's gone on.
Okay, and we can ask Mr. Vigorito, but first we need to talk to the
All
city
right,
solicitor.
thank you for listening to me.
I'm sorry, Council Capone has one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, through you. You kind of answered one of my questions. It was the renewal. I wanted to know what steps, I'll speak to Attorney Gordon, what steps your client took in order to get a license or a permit. So from what I've heard, and, you know, I obviously want to hear from the owner as well, but you've been operating since 2014, so I understand your point. It's a very real and tangible property interest that's at stake here, and it's not something to be treated lightly. It's a renewal, not an initial. You do have a lease that's signed for the purposes of how it's being operated, and that's in line with what the license is, I'm assuming. So that leads me to probably my conclusion. I don't have any other questions. I'd like to hear from City Solicitor. I would like to give the owner an opportunity to be heard equally as well. So,
Okay, I just want to get a ruling from the city solicitor because we will hear from the owner, absolutely.
like us-
That's only fair. Yes, please
set.
take a seat and,
Thank you.
Thank
if we
you,
could please
Council.
have the city solicitor come up.
Good evening. Colleen Mejia, City Solicitor.
Colleen, you more or less seen what's going on here.
Yep.
And my thing from the very beginning was to stay out of it. Because I feel that it's a dispute between tenant and landlord, and it's not our business to get involved. So what is your opinion on, what do you feel is the right thing to do at this moment?
It's completely within your authority to take the information that the city clerk gave to you and make a decision to take no action or to take action. It's totally within your authority.
But in regards to the renewal, okay, this person originally came up to get the license. He came up with the owner, and the owner okayed everything.
The city clerk's policy is that for a renewal, they don't require the owner to sign the application as long as there's a valid lease.
Okay.
I spoke to the city clerk, and that's their
So we
policy.
didn't do anything wrong.
No, I'm not aware of any law that requires the property owner to sign an application for a license to conduct a business.
Because it was a renewal. Is that correct? And he had the lease, so we basically did not do anything wrong to grant him the license.
Correct, because that's the policy of the city clerk's
That's
office.
possible. Okay. I don't have any further questions. I don't know if my colleagues have any questions for the city
No.
solicitor, but I think she's answered it very clearly for me.
excuse me, that's right there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now you'd like to hear from the
I
owner?
would like to
If
give the owner
could
an
please come up.
opportunity. I'd like to come up.
Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rocco Vigorito, 4 Partridge Lane, Saugus, Mass.
And my name's Christopher McCallum, and I'm Mr. Vigorito's counsel. And I think there's one very important thing that has not yet been discussed that I'm not going to go anywhere near the dispute that exists between the parties outside of the realm of city governance. There is a pending, an existing cease and desist order issued by the building department against ADH Collision. And it's our understanding that if there's such an action being taken against a business operator or the occupant of a premises, that the license should not be renewed under any circumstances until that's resolved. And that cease and desist order emanates out of the fact that ADH Collision did unpermitted work inside Mr. Vigorito's property. So I think that up to this point that has not been discussed, and I think that the city has an incredibly strong interest in making sure that its business owners follow the rules.
Yes, but there was permits pulled and everything is okay. I did go to the building department to
That-
check that.
I don't-
They only need a signature from the owner. And the
I'd-
building inspector's right here. We can call him right up and ask him.
I think we should hear from the building inspector on that issue.
But that's up to my colleagues here.
I'd like to make a motion. to invite-
Wait a minute, is there anything else, any questions first before we, go ahead, Counsel Capone.
Thank you. If I may, through you to our guests. So the concern that you have that unpermitted work was done? Is that the intent? You heard what the tenant had to say. So what's your position? Your position is the permit, the license should be revoked because unpermitted work was done?
No, our position is it never should have been renewed.
Okay, when did the work start and when was the?
We don't
you
know. The original building department actions commenced about a year ago in either July or August of 2016. And the cease and desist order probably, I think it issued in December or
I
January.
have a copy of it.
All right, so the cease and desist order, you're saying issued in December?
December or January of.
Okay.
And well before the license came up for renewal.
And when is the date for the renewal license?
I
To the
believe-
best of your knowledge.
I believe it's April 30th.
Okay, and it's your position that you were not aware of the work that he was doing inside? That whatever alterations were made, you weren't aware of that?
Speaking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was aware, they told me that they were getting a permit. They never got a permit. They were
Okay.
supposed to provide us with drawings, permits, and licensed people to do the work. We were never provided any of that. But to go further, they continue to break the law they just erected a fence 8 feet and above without a permit. So these people have no regard for the law whatsoever. And I did not sign because there are still outstanding fines that I got from the ISO regarding the unpermitted work, which I have no intentions of paying because I didn't do this. Now, I don't have insurance on the building because of unpermitted work. So if an occurrence were to happen, I would not be covered because there was no building permits provided for the work that was done.
okay. So, the through you, Counselor, yourself, if we're going to bring up our city representative to shed some light on the situation, if they don't have an issue what was done, or they're okay with that, are you willing to sign off
No,
on this?
I'm
You
not.
just don't want to sign off on it?
I'm not comfortable with anything that's gone on in that building.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other questions.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I'm getting a little confused here because I thought the work that he was doing, that he wasn't doing was on motor vehicles.
No,
Are you
it's in the
talking he's
building.
doing
No, he did building work inside of the building.
what?
He replaced overhead doors, he built offices, bathrooms that were not handicap accessible, all kinds of work, and I was fined by the building department.
Oh, because I was wondering
He
how the building
also-
department get involved with auto wrecks, doing automobiles, but
I'm sorry?
I was wondering how the building department got involved with doing
No,
repair
no,
work
it's
on
not.
automobiles.
No, it was not about automobiles. They did work to the actual building, which I received a cease and desist from the building department of Everett for the unpermitted work. Building, plumbing,
On
and
the buil-
electrical.
Okay. I just needed that to be squared away, thank you.
Okay, so the motion was to invite the building inspector? Excuse with the customary thanks. If we could please have the building inspector up. You could go sit down for now until we hear from the building inspector.
That's Andrew. That's not
If
Good
you could
evening,
please
members
have
of the
building
committee. My
inspector
name
just
is
give us an overview.
Jim Soper, I'm the building commissioner of the city of Everett.
Thank you. If you
I'm
could-
open for any questions, or do you want?
Counsel Capone.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Through you to Mr. Sopa. If you could please give us an overview of the situation from your perspective, I would appreciate that.
Sure. I have a building permit in the file from 1983, which was the construction date of the building. I've reviewed all the plans for that building. I've made an internal inspection of that building. There's a section of that building that's an office space on the left-hand side as you enter in the main garage door where vehicles come in, approximately 10 foot by 12 foot. We discovered that was done without a permit by looking back at prior plans when it was built. We see other walls in that building that were on the plans for the permit that was issued back in 1983. Subsequently, there was an addition put in the back of that building in 1985. Didn't involve anything in the front of the building, didn't involve anything we took action on. So our actions, my department was solely limited to the 10 by 12 area office space on the left-hand side that was done without a permit. A cease and desist order was issued from my department. I don't know if you have a copy of it. I only have one.
If you could just summarize that for us. that'd
Oh,
be
sure,
helpful.
they got it. So summarizing that, it's work without a permit, including new walls, ceilings, plumbing, and electrical. So we issued that to Mr. Vigorito, the owner of the property. None of this is on the tenant. This is all for the owner of the property. So the owner of the property has to come in compliance here. So I think what happened was there was a copy of the CC to the tenant as well to let them know what's going on. So the tenant
And what was the date of that?
is November 21st, 2016.
Okay, thank you.
It's my knowledge that the tenant then hired the electrical and plumbing professionals, pulled their permits, work inspected, signed off. Those what I would concern are the life safety issues here, to make sure that those things are safe. The building is, the office walls are 8 feet high, 10 foot long on one side, 12 foot long on the other side, 2x4 walls. No permit taken for those. I have no idea who built them, but I can only know that the owner of that property is responsible for it, okay? I can't pin a tenant on doing it. I have no idea who did it, the owner of the property. In fact, I've been provided with pictures from the owner of the property of the work being done. So I know the owner of the property was aware of it. He knew the work was being done. He took pictures of it. I'm not quite sure of the date of the pictures and who was the tenant at the time. So I know that the owner was involved in this. To get a building permit, different from electrical and plumbing, you need the owner's signature, okay? The owner has refused to sign the building permit for the walls that were constructed. Plumbing and electrical do not require signatures. So here we are, finding, sure,
One thing clear, now, on the plumbing and electric, you said you did get the permit?
yep,
And the permit
permits,
came from the tenant?
yes, and they've been completed and inspected.
Okay.
Work is off this, so to speak, they could be taking off this cease and desist. So these walls remain. Since these walls remain, we've continued to fine the owner $1,360 or $80. I just checked with my clerk, who handles code enforcement. Those fines have all been paid. There's no outstanding fines at this point. So as I stand right now, I'm in want of a building permit signature for these walls that have been constructed on the site. And without that, I'm not prepared to revoke this cease and desist. We want this corrected. It seems like a minor issue to me that we got a lot bigger fish to fry than this little thing, but
Yeah.
this is what I'm involved with at this level.
Thank you. If I may continue. You said, I want to make sure I'm clear on what you said. Did you say the owner provided you photos of the walls in progress or completed?
In progress.
In progress. What state of progress were they in? How
ve-
early of a stage? I know you said you weren't sure of date.
Sure, rough framing, just studs, no inside, no outside. You know, you could see right through.
How long ago were those pictures made available to you?
At or about the time of the letter that was written, cease and desist.
And when you did the letter to cease and desist, were those walls completed?
They were completed.
And the condition, I haven't seen them, so I'm relying on you, and you're more versed in it anyway, so you're the right person to rely on. The condition of the studs that you saw to the final condition that you saw when you did the cease and desist, what kind of time frame would you say would go through? Is that something you could do relatively quickly? Is that something that took some time?
I have, my sense is that these walls were built a long time ago,
Okay.
but I don't know that time span from when the inspection was made to when the construction
Okay.
was started.
but you were provided copies of studded walls from the owner.
Yes, photos, yes.
All right, thank you. I don't have any other questions.
Thank you. Mr. Soper, what made you go down there for inspection?
I believe it was a complaint from the owner.
Okay. The other thing is, do we do inspections yearly on businesses, from the assessor's office, from the building department, making sure our fire department's yearly?
The fire department would go in there on a more regular basis because there's a paint spray booth with filters and volatile chemicals that are sprayed. The building department does not make a regular inspection in a building like this. No, it's not an assembly building.
So the last time you said you had 1983 was when you looked back and you saw permits, but nothing else has been pulled since then till now?
We had a 1995 permit for a renovation as well, and there might be a few others that I really haven't, but I'm willing to just page through this and see if I have anything further.
Okay, I just wanted to know, was there a prior owner, another body shop person in before
I have,
2014, do we know?
on the 1983 application for permit, it lists the owner as Rocco Vigorito.
Was anyone else in there after him?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have knowledge of that.
And the assessors, they come down, I thought, to assess property value throughout the year and knowing what's being done in office spaces.
That's correct.
Do we have anything showing that when you did anything?
I would not have possession of those records. That's solely for tax purposes.
All right. All right, my question's answered. I think we should also look into having the assessors, seeing what they have down, if we're gonna look into.
If there's no other questions, excuse customary thanks.
From the chair. This extension that was built, you don't know when it was built, the walls themselves?
The office space on the inside?
Yes.
This is, yeah, I have no idea when it was built, and, because it's solely contained within the building. This is not an exterior addition.
So it's not something that our inspectors would see from outside?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, thank you. Excuse the
customary
customary
thanks.
thanks. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I've heard from both parties. We've heard from our city solicitor. We've heard from our building inspector. It seems to me that there's an awful lot going on here. Something that we're not going to be able to dig into. I think where the matter's already in the courts, that's the proper place to put it. If the owner is unhappy with anything that the tenant has done, that will give him all that much more power in front of the court. If it determines that he, in fact, actually knew about the walls, then that'll work to the tenant's favor. So at this point, I would make a recommendation to our body that we refer this back to sponsor. Okay. The recommendation would be
second?
send it out to the body, refer back to
I'll
sponsor.
second.
Mr. Chairman, on the motion? Mr.
Yes,
Chairman?
Mr. Counsel Hamlin.
I think I'd like to make a motion myself, and you'd have to take mine first because it would come, then you take his. But I'm going to ask that the license be revoked, our license be revoked. And I understand my learned counselor here, my learned colleague, about, letting them decide it in the courts. Well, this looks like something that's hot, that's going to be going on for a while, and I'm concerned about it because, the courts could take 2 years to do this. I don't think the courts are going to settle it next week or by the end of the summer or something like that. I think it's going to be quite a long time. So I don't know if you'd be allowing someone to operate down there without the proper license, without us giving out a proper
Well,
license.
according to the city solicitor, he does have the proper license.
Well, I
It's a
want to see
renewal,
the,
and
I still have to see the form. The form says the owner shall sign. That's what the form says.
Shall, not.
No, the owner did
Yeah.
not sign. So that's what we have to consider. And the other thing we have to consider too is, I'd like to ask Mr. Vigorito one more question. Could I ask him one more
Sure.
question? Mr. Vigorito, could you, or your attorney, which one? It's my understanding, it's not, this is out of the realm of it, but it's my understanding that this kind of thing is not going to go on anymore. Are you selling your business to win?
No, I'm not.
Why not? That's a lot of money.
It's just not worth it to us. We
Okay.
can generate more money.
Well, I know, nothing did, but they said it.
Well,
They said he was selling it for $9.75 million.
that's 9 properties. That's not one property.
Oh.
However, if I can go a little bit further,
No, Mr. Vigorito, I'm sorry. I just wanted that one question asked, Yeah, yeah.
So we're going to be voting on this at 7 o'clock. I really don't feel. I feel that we've heard enough.
Well, I'd like to be able to speak my piece. Everybody else got a chance to speak.
No, absolutely, but I just don't want this to keep going back and forth,
Well, it's
because
not gonna go back and forth, but I followed the letter of the law. It said that it was required that my signature be on the application for renewal. And now you're saying that the building, even though it has a cease and desist, can operate as a business. Therefore, I could have cease and desist on all of my properties in Everett and run business on it as dangerous as they could be. Is that the way we do business in the city? I've been in the city for 30 years, 35 years.
I understand that, and we respect you, Rocco,
And
but at the
thank you,
same
and
time,
I-
we have to respect our city solicitor.
And I respect you all totally, but in this situation where you're telling me that you want to have the court decide this matter, this has nothing to do with the eviction process. This has to do with a license in a building that I am not safe in. It has a cease and desist. Unless you want to assume the liability if someone gets hurt, all of you, then grant the license. But if someone gets hurt, I will hold you all personally responsible because the place is not safe, in my opinion. There is not an occupancy permit legal to that property. There is a cease and desist for unpermitted work, and I stand liable for someone gets hurt in that.
This is not gonna continue,
yeah.
okay? That's it.
Yeah,
It's not,
you
I'm
did your
sorry,
job.
Rocco, I respect you as a person, I respect your attorney, I respect the other side. This is not gonna continue. I will not allow it, because now he wants to come up, that one wants to come up, you're gonna take care of it in court, as far as I'm concerned. That's gonna be my vote tonight, I'm sorry, it's enough.
Good job.
Nothing.
Just go.
Excuse with the customary thanks, thank you. Councilor Capone,
I second Council Capone's.
Councilor Hanlon
Motion.
has a.
No, I withdraw my motion.
He withdraws his motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to refer it,
Refer it out.
refer back to sponsor. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Motion to adjourn.
Counselor, refer back to what?
Aye.
Counselor, refer back to what you said
Refer the piece back to sponsor, but this gets voted on,
at 7 o'clock.
it gets voted on at 7 o'clock.
Refer back to